Just 2 weeks after our wedding, I cheated on my husband with my ex, now I want him back. But what he said to me at the airport left me in tears and completely speechless. Ronan and I met 3 years ago at a mutual friend's gallery opening. He's a restoration architect, the kind who brings dead buildings back to life, preserves their history while making them functional again. I should have recognized the metaphor. He restored me too, after years of toxic relationships and self-sabotage. I'm a forensic accountant, spend my days tracking down fraud and lies in numbers. The irony isn't lost on me that I became the very thing I hunt professionally. Our wedding was small, intimate. Just 40 people at this converted monastery he'd restored upstate. Everything was perfect. I remember standing at the altar thinking I'd finally gotten my SHT together, finally chosen right. 2 weeks later, Darius texted me. Darius was my college boyfriend, now a documentary filmmaker who specialized in human interest pieces about tragedy and loss. We'd been together 4 years, broke up 5 years ago when I caught him effing his production assistant. But before that betrayal, we'd had this intense, consuming thing that I'd never quite shaken off. His text was simple: Mom has stage 4 pancreatic. She keeps asking about you. I know I have no right to ask, but could you see her? Just once? I should have blocked him. Should have told Ronan immediately. Instead, I told myself it was about his mother, not him. She'd been kind to me during our relationship. I convinced myself this was about closure, about being a decent human being. I met him at a coffee shop near the hospital. That was my plan: coffee, then visit his mom, then leave. But his mom wasn't at the hospital. She wasn't even sick. He admitted it after I'd already been there an hour, after he'd already worked his way under my skin with stories about how he'd changed, how losing me had transformed him. I wish I could blame alcohol. I wish I could say he forced me. But I was stone cold sober when I followed him to his apartment. I was completely conscious when I made the decision that destroyed everything. The thing about Apple Watches, they sync messages even when your phone is in another room. I'd left mine charging on Ronan's desk in his home office when I got back. He was working on blueprints for a Victorian mansion restoration. The messages from Darius popped up on my watch screen. Last night was incredible. I knew you still felt it too. When can I see you again? Ronan was sitting right there. He read it at the same time I did. He didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. He just looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before, like he was looking at architectural plans that didn't add up, studying a structure that needed to be condemned. Get out of my office, was all he said. Quiet. Controlled. That was 3 weeks ago. We're still living in the same house, but I might as well be a ghost. He's moved into the guest bedroom. He doesn't eat meals with me. He responds to necessary communication about bills or logistics with one-word answers. The man who used to text me paragraphs about how much he loved me now treats me like I'm a problematic tenant he's waiting to evict. I've tried everything. I've begged. I've written letters explaining how sorry I am, how it meant nothing, how I'll do anything to fix this. I've offered couples counseling, offered to go to therapy myself, offered to let him track my phone, delete all social media, anything. He just looks through me like I'm transparent. Yesterday, he did something that gave me hope. He booked me a flight. One-way ticket to my parents' place in Colorado. He said we needed space, that he needed to think without me in the house. The fact that he's thinking, that he needs space to process, that has to mean something, right? Maybe he just needs time to figure out how to forgive me? The flight is tomorrow morning. He's driving me to the airport. I'm going to use that drive, that goodbye at the gate, to show him how sorry I am. To fight for us one last time. I know I effed up catastrophically, but people make mistakes. Marriages survive infidelity all the time, don't they? I'll update after tomorrow. Wish me luck. I know I don't deserve it, but I love this man more than I've ever loved anyone. I can't lose him over one stupid night. Update 1, posted 2 months, 3 weeks ago. I'm writing this from my childhood bedroom at my parents' house. For those who said I was delusional in my first post, you were right. For those who said he deserved better, you were right. For those who said one night can destroy everything, you were absolutely effing right. Let me back up and tell you about the 2 weeks between discovery and the airport. After Ronan found out, he switched into a mode I can only describe as administrative. He was handling the dissolution of our marriage like he handles a condemned building, methodically, efficiently, without emotion. The morning after discovery, I woke up to find he'd already separated our finances. Joint account was split, credit cards canceled, my name removed from the restoration project he was consulting on. I'd been helping with the financial fraud assessment for the Historical Society funding it. Every shared thing we'd built was being systematically divided. I tried to talk to him that first morning. Made his favorite breakfast, eggs Benedict with that hollandaise sauce that took me 6 months to perfect. He walked into the kitchen, looked at the plates, and ordered Thai food for himself. Ate it in his office while I sat at our dining table alone with 2 plates of congealing sauce. "Please, just talk to me," I begged through his office door. "There's nothing to discuss," he said. "You made your choice. It was a mistake. One effing mistake." "No," his voice was calm, clinical. "A mistake is forgetting to set your alarm. You made 17 conscious decisions. Getting in your car. Driving to meet him. Sitting down with him. Not leaving when you discovered his lie. Going to his apartment. Walking up 3 flights of stairs. Entering his door. Should I continue?" He was right. It wasn't one mistake. It was a series of choices, each one a betrayal in itself. The next 2 weeks were torture. He worked longer hours, coming home after I was in bed. Weekends, he'd leave at dawn to visit restoration sites. But the worst part was when he was home. He'd move through the house like I wasn't there. If I was in the kitchen, he'd wait until I left. If I sat in the living room, he'd go to his office. He was erasing me from his life while I was still living in it. I tried everything. I sent him articles about recovering from infidelity. Left them printed on his desk. Found them in the shredder the next morning. I wrote him a 6-page letter detailing every moment of our relationship that mattered to me, why I loved him, how sorry I was. He returned it to my nightstand with a sticky note, "No longer my concern." My best friend Sienna came over one evening. She's known Ronan longer than she's known me. They went to architecture school together. I begged her to talk to him for me. She came out of his office after an hour, tears in her eyes. "What did he say?" I asked. "He said you killed his wife. The woman he married doesn't exist anymore. The person living in his house is just someone wearing her face." That broke me. But what broke me more was what Sienna said next. "I'm sorry, but I can't be in the middle of this. He's not wrong about what you did. I love you, but I can't support you through this." Even my best friend couldn't defend me. The day before the flight, Ronan spoke to me directly for the first time in 2 weeks. I was in our bedroom, his former bedroom, packing. "Your flight is at 9 a.m. We'll leave at 6:30. Ronan, please. Can we talk about this?" He looked at me then, really looked at me for the first time since discovery. "What would you like to talk about? How you effed another man in the bed he used to F you in. How you came home to me with his smell still on you. How you kissed me goodnight with the same mouth that..." Stop. I was sobbing. "Why? Does the truth hurt? Imagine how I feel." "I know you're angry." "Angry?" He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I'm not angry. Anger would mean I still care enough to feel something. I'm just done." "You booked me a return flight, right? This is just temporary space?" He studied me with those architect eyes, like he was examining structural damage. "Sure. I should have known then." The way he said it. But I was desperate for hope. The morning of the flight, he loaded my bags into his truck silently. The drive to the airport took 53 minutes. He didn't turn on the radio. Didn't speak. Just drove while I sat there rehearsing what I would say at the gate. When we pulled up to departures, my heart was pounding. This was it. My last chance. Update 2, posted 2 months, 2 weeks ago. I need to tell you about the airport. I've replayed those final moments 1,000 times, and each time they hurt worse. Ronan pulled up to the curb at departures. He got out, retrieved my bags from the truck bed with the same efficiency he used for everything else those past 2 weeks. Set them on the curb. Then stood there, waiting. Aren't you going to park? Come in with me?" "No need. Please. Just to the gate?" He looked at his watch, the one I'd given him for our first anniversary. "You should check in." I was panicking. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to park. We were supposed to have time. I was supposed to fix this. "Ronan, please. Just give me 5 minutes." He leaned against his truck, arms crossed. That familiar stance I'd seen 100 times when he was examining a building, deciding if it was worth saving. "Go ahead." Standing there on the sidewalk with travelers streaming around us, I poured out everything. Every word I'd rehearsed, every plea I'd crafted. "I know I destroyed us. I know I betrayed you in the worst possible way. But I'm begging you, don't throw away 3 years because of one night. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, Whatever you need. I'll quit my job if you want, so we can start fresh somewhere. I'll sign a postnup giving you everything if I ever even look at another man. Please, baby, just tell me there's a chance. Tell me that this space is so you can figure out how to forgive me." He let me finish. Let me sob through my entire speech while a family with young kids gave us a wide berth and an elderly couple pretended not to stare. Then he pushed off from the truck and stepped close to me. For a moment, my heart soared. He was going to embrace me. Tell me we'd figure it out. Instead, he spoke in that same measured tone he used for explaining why a building couldn't be saved. "You want to know what you actually destroyed? Not just our marriage. You destroyed my ability to ever trust another human being completely. You took the one thing I gave you that I'd never given anyone else, my absolute faith, and you traded it for a F with a man who already proved he was worthless when he cheated on you. I don't need space to figure out how to forgive you. I needed space to figure out the logistics of erasing you from my life. That's done now. The divorce papers will be at your parents' house by end of week. The house is already listed with a realtor. Your belongings will be shipped to Colorado. Your return flight was never booked because you're never coming back. You want to know the worst part? It's not even that you effed him. It's that you came home to me after, smiled at me, kissed me, told me you loved me, and went to sleep next to me like nothing happened. You looked me in the eyes and lied with such ease that I have to question every moment we ever shared. Was any of it real? Was I just another building you thought needed restoration? But here's the thing about restoration, it only works if the foundation is solid. And you, my dear ex-wife, are condemned." He turned to leave and I grabbed his arm. Security was watching us now. "Please. Ronan, I love you." He looked down at my hand on his arm, then up at my face. The expression there was worse than anger, worse than hurt. It was nothing. Complete indifference. "No, you don't. You love the idea of me. The stability I provided. The life we built. But you don't love me. Because you can't destroy someone you love that easily. You can't walk into their life, gain their trust, promise them forever, and then detonate it all for an orgasm with someone who already showed you exactly who he was." He removed my hand from his arm. Gently, like he was handling something contaminated. "Your plane boards in 40 minutes. Don't miss it." He got in his truck. Didn't look back. Didn't check his mirrors to see me standing there. Just drove away while I stood on the sidewalk, unable to move, unable to breathe, while travelers flowed around me like water around a stone. A TSA agent eventually approached. "Ma'am, are you all right? Do you need assistance?" I wanted to laugh. Assistance? What assistance could anyone provide? I just watched the best man I'd ever known drive away from me forever, and I'd earned every second of his indifference. Update 3, posted 2 months ago. The divorce papers were waiting when I arrived at my parents' house, just like he'd said. He wasn't asking for anything unreasonable, just a clean split of assets acquired during our brief marriage. The engagement ring was mine to keep, the letter from his lawyer noted. I sold it the next week and donated the money to a women's shelter. Wearing it felt like carrying evidence of my crime. My parents were supportive but disappointed. My mother, who had walked me down the aisle just 2 months prior, couldn't hide her dismay. "How could you?" she asked one night over dinner. "Ronan was. He was everything we'd hoped for you." My father was blunter. "You had a winning lottery ticket and you set it on fire for a matchstick." They weren't wrong. I found out through social media, yes, I stalked his profiles even though he'd blocked me, that he'd thrown himself into his work. The Victorian mansion restoration was ahead of schedule. He'd taken on 2 more projects. His company posted a photo of him at a site in Vermont, examining original woodwork. He looked focused, purposeful. He looked like himself again. Meanwhile, I was a ghost. I couldn't focus on work. Fraud investigations require attention to detail, pattern recognition, the ability to see through deception. How could I do that when I'd become the very thing I was supposed to catch? I took a leave of absence that turned into a resignation. Darius texted me 3 weeks after I'd returned to Colorado. "Hey, heard about your divorce. I'm sorry. I know I played a part in that. Want to talk?" I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. Instead, I responded, "You didn't play a part. You were just the weapon I used to destroy my life. Your mother was never sick, was she?" "No. But I knew it was the only thing that would get you to meet me." "Why? Why did you do it?" "Because I could. Because I wanted to prove you weren't as perfect as you pretended to be with your architect husband and your fancy forensic job. Guess I was right." I blocked him then. But the damage was already complete. The friends were divided, though not equally. Most sided with Ronan, as they should have. The few who remained neutral gradually faded away when they realized I had nothing to offer but guilt and regret. Sienna never responded to my texts. Our mutual friend group posted photos from a dinner party at Ronan's house, the house we'd bought together. Everyone was there. Everyone but me. I started therapy. My therapist, an older woman who'd seen every variation of human failure, was direct. You sabotaged your happiness because you didn't believe you deserved it. Darius represented your comfort zone, chaos, drama, uncertainty. Ronan represented growth, which scared you. So you detonated it. Can I fix it? No. You can only learn from it. 3 months after the airport, I was grocery shopping in Denver. I'd moved there for a fresh start, got a job as a regular accountant, nothing forensic about it. I was reaching for pasta when I heard his laugh. That deep, genuine laugh I'd fallen in love with. I turned and there he was, one all over in the international section. But he wasn't alone. A woman with dark hair and an easy smile was holding up 2 bottles of wine, making him choose. He pointed to one, she put it in their cart, and then she stood on her toes to kiss him. It was casual, comfortable. The kind of kiss that spoke of familiarity, of growing intimacy. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. Instead, I stood frozen as they turned into my aisle. He saw me immediately. His expression didn't change. Didn't falter. He simply continued pushing the cart while she chatted about dinner plans. They passed within 2 feet of me. She smiled politely, the way you do at strangers in grocery stores. He looked through me like I was a shelf display. Ronan, I whispered. He paused for half a second. The woman looked between us, sensing something. Do you know her? She asked him. He looked at me then, that same evaluating look from the airport. No. I don't. They continued past. I heard her ask, what was that about? Nothing important, he replied, his voice carrying back to me. Just someone I used to know. Final update, posted 1 week ago. It's been 6 months since I destroyed my marriage. 6 months since I traded everything that mattered for nothing that did. I'm posting this final update because I need to close this chapter, even if the book of my regrets will never fully shut. I've learned things about myself I wish I'd known before I became a cautionary tale. I learned that I'm the woman who lights matches in gunpowder stores. That I mistake stability for boredom and chaos for passion. That I have a self-destruct button I'll push just to see what happens. My therapist says these patterns were set long before Ronan, probably in childhood. That's probably true, but it doesn't absolve me. Nothing absolves me. I saw them again last week. I'd driven back to our old town to finalize some paperwork with the house sale. They were at the farmer's market, the one where Ronan and I used to buy heirloom tomatoes every Saturday. She was wearing a ring. Not an engagement ring, but a promise ring on her right hand. The kind of thing Ronan would do, traditional but thoughtful. She was everything I wasn't. Calm where I was chaotic. Steady where I was impulsive. She touched him with easy affection, no desperation in it. He looked at her the way he used to look at me, before I showed him who I really was. I wanted to hate her. I wanted to find flaws, reasons why I was better. But the truth was staring me in the face, she was better. Not because she was prettier or smarter or more successful. She was better because she wouldn't destroy him. She wouldn't take his trust and feed it to her demons. She wouldn't come home with another man's fingerprints on her soul. I drove past our old house after the market. The new owners had already moved in. There were kids' toys in the yard we'd planned to fill with our own children. Someone else's dreams growing in the soil of my devastation. People ask if I still love him. The answer is yes, but it doesn't matter. Love isn't enough when you've proven yourself unsafe. Love isn't enough when you've shown someone exactly how little they mean to you in the moment of temptation. Love isn't enough when you've taken someone's faith and thrown it back in their face. The synopsis I posted initially talked about his final words shattering me. But the truth is, I shattered myself. He just held up the mirror. I'm dating someone new now. He's nice. Safe. He doesn't know the full story, just that I'm divorced. I haven't told him that sometimes I wake up at 3 a.m. and replay that night, seeing all the exit points I could have taken. I haven't told him that I check Ronan's company website just to see his photo, to remind myself of what I had and lost. I haven't told him that he's essentially a placeholder, someone to keep the loneliness at bay while I try to rebuild myself into someone who won't destroy good things. Maybe that's unfair to him. Add it to my list of sins. To those in the comments saying people deserve second chances, Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But more importantly, sometimes the people we hurt don't owe us those chances. Ronan gave me his trust once. I showed him what I did with precious things. He was right not to give me the chance to do it again. To those saying I'm being too hard on myself, you didn't see his face when he realized who I was. You didn't watch the light die in the eyes of someone who loved you completely. You didn't witness a good man realize he'd married a stranger. I don't want sympathy. I don't deserve it. I just wanted to tell this story as a warning. We always think we'll be the exception. That our love is strong enough to survive our weaknesses. That our partners will forgive us because we're special, because what we have is special. But we're not special. We're just people making choices. And some choices are demolition balls that destroy everything they touch. Ronan restored buildings for a living. He took broken, abandoned things and made them beautiful again. But even he knew some structures are too damaged to save. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is tear them down and let something better be built in their place. I was that condemned building. He was right to walk away. The last thing he ever said to me was at the lawyer's office, signing the divorce papers. I tried one more time to apologize. He looked up from the signature line and said, "I spent my career learning to identify structural damage. I should have recognized it in you from the beginning. That's my failure, not yours. You were just being exactly who you are." Then he signed his name, stood up, and walked out of my life forever. I've stopped checking his social media. I've stopped driving past the house. I've stopped torturing myself with what ifs. Because the what ifs don't matter when the what was is so definitively over. This is my last update. There's nothing more to say. Some stories don't have redemption arcs. Some mistakes don't get fixed. Some bridges, once burned, are meant to stay ash. Thank you to those who listened without judgment. To those who judged harshly, you were right to do so. I was given gold and I turned it to dust. That's my story. That's my confession. That's my burden to carry. Signing off. Edit. For those asking why I didn't fight harder or try to win him back after the divorce, you don't understand who Ronan is. He's not a man who makes decisions lightly or emotionally. Every choice is considered, measured, final. When he decided I was done, I was done. There was no winning him back because in his mind, I no longer existed. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And his indifference was complete. Edit 2. Someone messaged asking if I regret posting this. No. I needed to tell someone, anyone, the full truth. My therapist knows the facts but not the feelings. My parents know the outline but not the details. This was my confession booth, and you were my priests. Thank you for absolving nothing. I didn't deserve absolution. Final edit. Ronan, if you ever read this, I know you won't, you're not the type to seek out drama, but if you do, you were right about everything. You deserved better. She seems wonderful. Be happy. That's not a request or a wish, just an acknowledgement that you will be because you're you, and you don't let people like me leave permanent scars. You're too strong for that. Too smart. Too whole. I was the broken one. I always was. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.